If I was talking to the young Vic, you know, I'd probably just tell him trust yourself, don't fuck with drugs, stay away from bitches, all types of shit that he wouldn't listen to, you know, so. It's my debut album, and it's really just a culmination of like everything I've done and experienced musically and personally. You know, it's really just a very personal album, and that's why I called it the Autobiography. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of stories from my life, and it's no filler, it's nothing made up. So it's what I put the most of my effort and energy into. You know what I mean? Like, I've learned a lot about just, you know, production and arrangement, and obviously my pen game. I've been doing this for a while, so this is the peak of me creatively thus far. The name of the album is inspired by Malcolm X's Autobiography. It's my favorite book, and a book that was really formative to me just as a person, and to my thoughts and my ideologies. You know, in Malcolm X's Autobiography, he goes through really a whole life on the streets and just like as a hustler and a pimp, and just, you know, I'm not a hustler or a pimp, but I guess in a parallel way, like I've gone through certain things, and, you know, in Malcolm X's Autobiography, he comes out as a different person with a different viewpoint, still retaining the things that he learned. He went through these things to be able to say what he did as Malcolm X, you know what I mean? That's what gave him that perspective. So likewise, in my album, The Autobiography, I'm telling you about these things that have happened in my early life, and all these things that influenced me in the ways I might have acted out of reaction, you know, like Huey Newton says, acted reactionary, to come around to a point of view that is revolutionary. I mean, he's a wizard, honestly. It's like, it's hard to fully describe what No I.D does, not because it's like esoteric or anything. It's like he's a real guru. It's not like he's like tossing fucking coins in the air and doing magic or something. It's just a high level of skill that he brought to it, you know, from a production standpoint. And that's really what I needed. And he helped me just like kind of visualize my subject matter and my song structure and production in a way that brought everything up a level. One of No I.D's geniuses as a producer is, like, as we're in the studio and as he's working and getting to know an artist, he's just picking up on like what needs to be said that hasn't been said yet, you know? He's focused on songs, concepts before beats, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, he stresses the importance of that being the most important part of a rap song, you know, it's the song. It's like, we could figure the beat out, and he got beats for days, you know? And I had a lot of the records written when I came to him, but he kind of really helped me just guide it and direct it so that my storyline was clear, my messaging was consistent, and not lopsided, you know, that I was like giving the right attention to certain concepts and ideas that people needed to hear from me. That's a thing that's big with him. It's like he observes the game, you know, and in a way that I haven't really heard anyone do before. And it's just like the ultimate skeptic. Who they say was a skeptic? Was that Socrates? No I.D is like the Socrates of rap. He's the ultimate skeptic. So he's able to like analyze things and he's always trying to think of everybody's, like, all the different perspectives to think like, you know, what the people need to hear from you, from me in this case, rapping, what they need to hear. Yeah, growing up on the south side of Chicago, I was just able to see things from a lot of different angles because on one hand, I was black in America, and especially on the south side of Chicago. On the other hand, you know, I come from a two-parent household, and you know, I had a lot of like security on that angle. And even the neighborhood I lived in, I lived like across the street from Section 8, but also like a couple blocks away from Barack Obama's house. You know, so I just was able to kind of have a certain multidimensional view of inequity, and I think that's something that has always influenced my writing. That was really like the first raps I wrote, you know, was like social commentary, just because I had a good fucking viewpoint. When it was like 100 people shot July 4th or something like that, I was in Chicago on July 4th, and that's the thing about it, is that you could be right there in Chicago and be worlds away from fucking Inglewood. Like I was downtown and I was on the north side and I was in the West Loop, worlds away from fucking Inglewood or fucking places on the west side where it was probably cracking and it was gunshots all through the night. You know, I tell people all the time, man, you know, the whole world is like confused about what's going on in Chicago. Like, how the fuck did this happen? It's terrible. And I'm like, it's really, it's pretty predictable, you know, when you don't invest in the community, when you leave people pretty much just out to dry for generations, and you generationally incarcerate the fathers, remove them from the family, and you have just like decades of kids born without family structures. I mean, you got niggas in the 90s, like, and still to this day, but you got niggas that was out here catching like 20-year cases for first-time drug offenses, and he just had a baby. So I got multiple close friends of mine who didn't meet their father till they were 18 because their fathers were incarcerated their entire life. That was a standard amount of time to go to prison for drug offenses. These kids are grown into, they're born into neighborhoods that assign no value and no worth to their life. If you go outside and the potholes on your street never get fixed, and the school books that you use are from the 80s and it's 2017, and there's gunshots in your fucking stop sign, like, either you gonna motherfucking hide inside or you gonna be like, okay, I'm carrying my strap too. Shit, what the fuck? It's a vicious cycle that perpetuates itself, that has been created. It's like when you used to be in the fucking bathtub as a kid and you would make the little whirlwind tornado in there when you spin it fast enough, and then you just put your hands back and it just fucking spins itself out of control. And that's what we have going on in Chicago. So it's a man-made whirlwind. Southside was like way more hood, so there'd be like footworking and shit like that. And I'd be around there. I'd get pushed into the footwork circle every once in a while, but I wasn't really on that. On the north side though, that's where like graffiti was heavy and fucking breakdancing and like DJing and all the real hip hop stuff was kind of going on the north side. So I'm from the south side, but I went to school on the north side. So I'll be over there painting trains and, you know, running around tagging shit and doing rooftops and breakdancing, and, you know, fucking, we'd be buying vinyl from the record store and spinning and breakdance battling in the basement, you know, from like age 11. I was in a Southside crew called Jam Crew. That was my introduction into hip hop. I always was a skateboarder, so skateboarding also kind of led me to rap through like this Zoo York tape. It was Zoo York mixtape with Harold Hunter on it, rest in peace. Somebody was skating the KRS-One. That was like the first rap song I really liked, Step Into a World. But I really loved a lot of New York writers like Scuff and KR before Crink, a lot of Chicago writers. And I would copy their shit and practice and like fucking try to stencil and trace, try to get my own shit fresh. And so I was out there like sneaking out of the house middle of the night when I was like in 7th grade, painting rooftops and walls and shit. And I was doing this rooftop in Hyde Park. And then on my way home, like when you're a little kid, at least when I was a little kid, and I see police in the middle of the night, I would just run immediately, because I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to be here. I'm only like fucking 4 feet tall. And so I ran through Barack Obama's backyard and climbed his fence, but he wasn't running for fucking president yet. You know, it was like 6 years before he ran for president. So he didn't have all the Secret Service and shit yet, but you know, that was cool. But yeah, that was what I was into. It's graffiti. I used to come to New York City, man, every summer and just like fucking be like my jaw be dropped the whole time. Just like, oh my God, look at him, look at that rooftop, blah, 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 blah. You know? I can't even hide it, man. I'm a hip hop ass nigga. That's what I came up on. That's what always was like my drawing to this shit.